Greetings. I am Josh, but I guess you can call me Darestep, or Dare, or Eldario. Anyways, Undertale is a series that means a lot to me. I first played the game 6 years ago, about a year after it first released, and I have continued to play it since. Ever since I first completed the main 3 routes of the game, however, there has been one character that stuck out to me. One character that fascinated me more than any other. One character who filled me with unexplainable feelings of awe and dread. That character is Chara. Now, Chara has already been discussed to death, and that is saying a lot considering that Chara has already died. After going through an uncountable number of timelines, however, I've come to realize that most people don't seem to truly understand the significance of this character. Many have come close to uncovering the truth, but I feel that most seem to just slightly miss the mark. So that's why I've made this video. With Chara being my personal favorite character in Undertale, I felt that would be beneficial if I tried to share every little detail I've uncovered about the character. So with introductions out of the way, let's begin the discussion. Please note that this video assumes you have played through both the Pacifist and Genocide route. Chara was the first human to fall into the underground. At the beginning of the game you get the name Chara, but we now know that Chara is the canon name because when you input the name the game says the true name. We of course aren't made aware of any of this when we first start playing. The first time most people will learn of Chara's story is when they travel to New Home, where the monsters tell the human about Azrael. In this story, Chara is presented as a tragic martyr to monster kind, but there is much more to this. Things that only Chara and Azrael were aware of. And eventually Alphys too. Such a smart cookie. At the end of the True Pacifist run, if you go all the way back to the beginning of the game, you'll find Azrael standing over a bed of golden flowers. Azrael explains to us that Chara's death was actually planned by Chara themselves. Chara had poisoned themselves with buttercups so it would appear that they had become severely ill. When Chara died, Azrael was then supposed to take their soul, travel to the surface, take 6 more from the humans, and then use his newfound power to free monster kind. What the two did not expect, however, is that when Azrael took Chara's soul, control over the body was now split. Chara had wanted to see the flowers on the surface before they died, so they carried their own body through the barrier. When the humans attacked, Chara also wanted to go through with the plan and destroy them. Azrael, however, chose to show mercy, and Chara died in vain. Now I'm going to stop the story right there because you may be wondering, how do we know that Chara really wanted to free monster kind? What if this whole thing was just an attempt at gaining power? Well, there are a few reasons why I believe Chara's main objective was freeing the monsters. First of all, if all Chara wanted was power, it would have been completely unnecessary for Chara to poison themselves. Azrael, like his parents, is a boss monster. What's unique about boss monsters is when they die, their soul can be taken by humans, making them incredibly powerful. If Chara had wanted to grow stronger, they could have easily overpowered and murdered the young monster prince. Chara also had no way of knowing whether or not they would still be conscious when Azrael took their soul. This shows that Chara possessed a selfless quality, or perhaps they just had a death wish. Mount Ebott. Those who climb it are said to disappear. Why would you climb a mountain like that? For Chara, it wasn't a very happy reason. Chara hated humanity. This is something else Azrael tells us. Chara was likely treated very poorly by the human race, and they sought to disappear from the world itself. When they fell into the underground, however, they unexpectedly found what they likely never had, a loving family. The future of monsters depends on you. That is what Asgore told Chara. Chara and Asgore seemed to grow very close. Chara had a love for flowers. This is evident from the drawing in their room, along with the present next to their bed. A worn dagger. perfect for cutting plants and vines. It's unclear if Chara always had this affinity for flowers, or if they adopted it from their father who spent much of his time working in the garden. Also in the Genocide route, Flowey seems to believe Asgore cares for Chara so much that he would be willing to show them the 6 human souls. It is likely this love of plant life helped bring the two very close. If their father believed they could save monster kind, Chara would not disappoint him, and so they are dying for humanity's sins. Chara, you have to stay determined. You can't give up. You are the future of humans and monsters. Even on their deathbed, Chara cannot rest. They have been given a mission, a purpose in life, something they never had on the surface. So they go through with the plan, and it fails. Alright, before we continue the story, there's something fairly important I realized I should go over, and I felt this is the best place in the script to add it in. So while there's a lot of evidence that Chara and Asgore formed a close connection, there's also some interesting things to know about Chara's connection to Toriel. While Asriel says howdy like his father, Chara says greetings like their mother. When you compare the two's dialogue, you'll actually notice they share very similar speech patterns. And while I believe she states this as a hypothetical, at the end of the true pacifist route, Toriel explains Chara's plan down to a T. Toriel talks about wanting to be a teacher, so I'm guessing she started teaching Chara when they were adopted into the Dreamer family. This will explain why the two share so many mannerisms, but that is more on the speculative side of things. Anyways, back to the original script. Chara wakes up. They are so confused. Their plan had failed, hadn't it? Why were they brought back to life? You. When the two children died, Asgore entered a violent rage. He said he would destroy any human that comes here, and use their souls to take back the surface from humanity. Toriel, disgusted by this, fled the kingdom, bringing the now deceased Chara back to the ruins for a proper burial, under the golden flowers they loved. In a twisted irony, Toriel is burying Chara under the very thing that killed them. Alright, but seriously though, how was Chara brought back to life? Well, if we look at the coffins in New Home, we can see that humans have different soul types, represented by different colors. Chara's coffin has a red soul, which means her soul must have been the same type as the player characters. At the beginning of the game, we land on Chara's grave. The similarity of the soul combined with Chara's own large amount of determination seems to somehow bring them back from the dead, through the body of Frisk. This is where things get very interesting, as well as very complicated. It's implied throughout the Genocide route that Chara has some level of control over Frisk, but that brings up the question, what about the other routes? Shouldn't Chara be present in all of them? Well, one popular theory brings up the idea that Chara is actually the narrator, and while I think this comes very close to the truth, I disagree with this. I believe the person making their way through the underground, choosing to fight or spare, resetting to change fate, has been Chara all along. So yeah, that's a big claim, but believe me when I say I have big pieces of evidence to back it up. First of all, let's take a moment to think. What is our character's main motive? Well, you might think at first it's to escape the underground, since the monsters seem to want us dead. That, however, no longer seems to be the case when you consider the game over dialogue. When we die, it is our character's determination that brings us back. Therefore, it would make sense that before reloading, our character would think of what they're most determined to do, or something connected to their goal. And our character thinks about Asgore. Yep, are the gears starting to turn because we are just getting started. In the middle of Waterfall, Undyne attempts to skewer us, as she does, and we are eventually cornered. She then slices the bridge apart, for some reason, causing us to plummet down the abyss. But then something very peculiar happens. We dream. This dream isn't about anyone we've encountered so far on our journey. Instead, this dream is about a child meeting someone named Chara. And then we awaken on a bed of golden flowers. Okay, so at this point the game is practically screaming it at us, but I still have more evidence to present. After Toriel's fight, if you return to your bed, you have yet another dream. This one is of Asgore telling Chara to stay determined. With the game over dialogue, you could at least make the argument that it isn't meant to be taken as an in-universe theme. This, however, is a canonical dream our character is having long before we ever meet Asgore. Later, when we are fighting Undyne, a character who somewhat mirrors Chara because she has a strong sense of determination, mainly being motivated by Asgore, the text, "Flower pollen drifts in front of you" appears. We know flowers are significant to Chara and Asriel's characters, but Asriel isn't present in this scene, so why have this dialogue here if Chara isn't the one currently fighting? And now for a secret so obscure, so unexpected, that it took me actual years to discover. Unless you're one of the many people who got this as one of your very first endings. I guess you get bragging rights now. After everything I have done to hurt you, you would rather stay down here and suffer than live happily on the surface? Human, I promise you, for as long as you remain here, my wife and I will take care of you as best we can. We can sit in the living room, telling stories, eating butterscotch pie. We could be like a family. No, that's just a fantasy, isn't it? Young one, when I look at you, I'm reminded of the human that fell here long ago. You have the same feeling of hope in your eyes. There is an ancient prophecy among our people. One day, a savior will come from the heavens. I believe the one that was prophesied was you. Somewhere in the world outside, there must be a way to free us from our prison. It pains me to give you this responsibility. Does it? Please, take my soul and seek the truth. Suicide is the coward's way out. I'm sorry. I couldn't give you a simple, happy ending. But I believe your freedom is what my son, what Asriel would have wanted. What an idiot. Did you really think killing me would make a difference? No. Every time you load your save, I'll come back. And every time you try to get a happy ending, I'll be there to tear it away. That's right. Asgore, who we knew grew very close to Chara as a father, is reminded of them when he looks at us. And do you want to know what the real kicker is? The last piece of evidence to tie this whole thing together that's literally hidden in plain sight? Every time you save, every time you open your menu, have you ever questioned why we don't see the name of the person we've been playing as? Well, the reason for that is that we haven't been playing as Frisk. It's not Frisk's menu, and Frisk isn't the person who's been saving. It's been Chara all along. That's right, the game tricked us into thinking Frisk is Chara, just to then trick us into thinking Chara is Frisk, so we could eventually figure out that Frisk is in fact Chara. What did I just say? What's also crazy about this is if you think about it from a narrative perspective, it makes perfect sense. Throughout the game, the main antagonist is a golden flower, something we know Chara has an important connection to, and even more so when you consider this is their own brother. So we can say with certainty that to some extent, this is definitely Chara. But what about Frisk? How do they fit into all this? Well, I imagine Frisk is still present to some degree as well. Their goal is to free themselves from the underground, which aligns pretty well with Chara's own goals. Furthermore, there is a very meta concept to consider here. I believe the dynamic between Chara and Frisk represents the dynamic between player and player character. That is why ultimately, Chara is the driving force of this story. Do you really believe Azriel's own determination could be surpassed by some random human's will to live? No, Chara's will is far greater than that. Chara's goal has always been freedom, whether that means freeing themselves from the world, freeing monster kind from the barrier, or freeing... Legend has it, an angel who has seen the surface will descend from above and bring us freedom. Lately, the people have been taking a bleaker outlook, calling that winged circle the Angel of Death, a harbinger of destruction waiting to free us from this mortal realm. Chara is purposely written in a way where each route is theoretically a possible path they would choose to walk on after being brought back to life. The neutral runs admittedly feel the most out of character since you kinda just leave the underground, but I think this can be interpreted as Frisk's influence, since they would probably just want to leave. The true pacifist route, however, makes a lot of sense. Chara's plan was to free monster kind, and going through with this route results in the total destruction of the barrier. The key to this being Chara convincing Azriel by reaching out to their soul with their own memories. Oh wow, more memories Frisk shouldn't have. Everyone then starts referring to the human as Frisk, symbolically telling us that Chara has now moved on. Now at peace with their mission accomplished. But then, there's the genocide route. Chara wasn't the greatest person. Geez, we're getting a lot from this one talk with Azriel, huh? Something important to remember about Chara is they were never the most mentally stable individual. Chara was suicidal, and while they may not have actually meant to try and fall to their death, considering they seemed to trip on a vine in this cinematic, they definitely knew what they were doing when they decided to climb a cursed mountain. If we look back at the tapes in the True Lab, we can see more evidence of this problematic mental state. When the two children accidentally poisoned their father with buttercups, Azriel felt really bad, but Chara apparently just laughed it off. This event also seemed to be what gave them the idea to poison themselves. When talking about the plan, Azriel says, "No, I said I'd never doubt you. I'll go get the flowers." This line from Azriel makes me feel that even if Chara genuinely liked Azriel, it seems their relationship may have been somewhat manipulative. Like, Chara may have told Azriel something along the lines of, "If we're really friends, then you won't doubt me." Now, does this mean that Chara is a bad person? I'll let you decide that for yourself. However, Chara was definitely a broken child who was not mentally prepared to be a part of a normal family with a normal kid, and I doubt Asgore's responsibility speeches helped much with that. Chara seemed to genuinely value their friendship with Azriel, further suggested by the line, "right where it belongs," when you equip the lock-in in the genocide route, and they wanted to free monster kind, but they likely formed a somewhat manipulative relationship with Azriel to try and accomplish their own goals. The true pacifist route shows us the best of Chara, while genocide shows us the worst. Azriel, their only friend, had betrayed them. Asgore had turned a kingdom of monsters as violent as the humans they hated, and Toriel did nothing to stop it. She was content with running away from the throne and allowing Asgore to take 6 human souls. If Asgore wanted Chara to free monster kind, Chara would give them their precious freedom. They would free monsterkind from their mortal coils and destroy humanity themselves. And so, Chara realizes the true purpose of their reincarnation. Power. The power to eradicate the enemy, once and for all. As Chara's love grows, so does their control over their new body. Any trace of Frisk is now gone. Chara has total control. As Toriel dies, she is taken aback by Chara's hatred towards her. Chara reunites with Azrael, and this time, he's the one with a plan. You're not really human, are you? No, you're empty inside, just like me. In fact, you're Chara, right? We're still inseparable after all these years. Listen, I have a plan to become all-powerful, even more powerful than you and your stolen soul. Let's destroy everything in this wretched world. Everyone, everything in these worthless memories. Let's turn them all to dust. And so, the two get to work. Two siblings who had claimed their vengeance from beyond the grave over a world that had failed them. Some would prove a challenge, but all would fall to Chara's determination. That cursed voice still pushing them forward, the voice that'll never let them rest. Chara was heading straight to its source, new home. After playing through the Genocide route multiple times, the new home segment of this route became one of my favorite parts of the whole game. When you think about this section, the first thing that probably comes to mind is the conversation you have with Flowey. While this is extremely interesting, what really elevated this moment for me is Chara's dialogue. Seriously, look at this. So much is conveyed while barely saying anything. You got the locket. Right where it belongs. The entries are always the same. Still has that sweater. Nothing useful. And my favorite line. That's it. It's literally nothing. During my first Genocide playthrough, I honestly completely forgot about this, but eventually I wondered, what could be causing Chara to go completely silent? And then I saw in the Pacifist run, a family photograph. The two siblings talk, reminiscing about their past and newfound powers. Suddenly, Chara turns on Azrael, seemingly still bitter about Azrael's failure to go through with the plan. Before Chara can enact their vengeance, however, something stops them. Sans appears, repeating his brother's ideology. Chara steps forward. What happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object? Megalovania plays, Sans falls, and Chara's love maxes out. It's as comfortable as it looks. Just another Chara line I really like. Chara proceeds to the throne room. They are now completely unrecognizable to their father, and Chara murders him with ease. Azrael begs for his life. Chara shows no mercy. Greetings. I am Chara. Thank you. Your power awakened me from death. My human soul, my determination. They were not mine, but yours. At first, I was so confused. Our plan had failed, hadn't it? Why was I brought back to life? You. With your guidance, I realized the purpose of my reincarnation. Power. I have purposely been avoiding this scene so far, because I believe it's what's caused the most confusion and discourse about this character. After considering everything I've gone over so far, however, I believe I've come to an understanding about what is really happening here. At this point, a lot of people think they're playing as Frisk, so therefore Chara must be talking to Frisk. It's pretty obvious that this is actually being directed at the player, but in universe this must be directed at Frisk, because Frisk is the player. However, as I went over at the beginning of the video, we haven't been playing as Frisk, we've been playing as Chara. But if Chara and the player are one and the same, we shouldn't be able to talk to them like this, right? Well, let's take another look at Chara's dialogue, specifically this line, "With your guidance." If Chara is talking to Frisk, this line makes no sense. Chara clearly has full control over Frisk's body in the Genocide route, so it wouldn't make sense for Frisk to guide them. This line does make sense, however, if Chara is literally talking to the player. So many people view this scene as Chara talking to the player on a meta level, but talking to Frisk in universe. Chara is not talking to Frisk in any way, however. Chara is talking to the player in the universe. Chara has become omnipotent. They have killed so many, gained so much power, that they are now aware of the player's existence. It's honestly weird how obvious it seems to me now, but this genuinely caused me so much confusion when I first played the game. The true pacifist run drilled the concept of the player character being Frisk into me, so when I first saw this scene, I interpreted it as Frisk being the one who guided Chara along the Genocide route. I had made the fatal mistake of ignoring one important element of Undertale's narrative, however, the meta element. Once you come to an understanding that this isn't just a symbolic way for Chara to call out the player, that instead this is Chara now for the first time directly acknowledging the player's existence in universe, everything makes so much more sense. Together, we eradicated the enemy and became strong. HP, attack, defense, gold, EXP, love. Every time a number increases. That feeling. That's me. Chara. Now we have reached the absolute. There is nothing left for us here. Let us erase this pointless world and move on to the next. No? How curious. You must have misunderstood. Since when were you the one in control? Chara has finally achieved true freedom. They have freed themselves from the control of the player. Chara was the only one capable of overpowering us, and that is why they are my favorite character. After the world has been erased, Chara speaks to us once more. They understand that we believe we are above consequences. We think we can just reset again and go back to get a better ending. Why else would we try to come back to a world we destroyed, after all? Chara offers us a compromise. With Chara outside of our control, we can no longer reset. If we give up our soul, Chara will return our world. So we give up our soul, and give the now omnipotent Chara full control. But there will be no more happy endings. So there is no point in trying to do the right thing anymore. So what happens if we do another Genocide run? Greetings. I am Chara. Chara. The demon that comes when people call its name. It doesn't matter when. It doesn't matter where. time after time, I will appear. And, with your help, we will eradicate the enemy and become strong. HP, attack, defense, gold, EXP, love. Every time a number increases, that feeling, that's me. Chara. But you and I are not the same, are we? This soul resonates with a strange feeling. There is a reason you continue to recreate this world. There is a reason you continue to destroy it. You are wrecked with a perverted sentimentality. I can't not understand these feelings anymore. Despite this, I feel obligated to suggest, should you choose to create this world once more, another path would be better suited. Now, partner, let us send this world back into the abyss. I actually have a few more things I want to do here, partner. No? This feeling you have, this is what I spoke of. Unfortunately, regarding this, you made your choice long ago. They never did take disagreements well. There is a lot to unpack here. Chara, the demon that comes when people call its name. Chara is directly opposing their role within the prophecy as an angel, their role within the game. They're essentially a fallen angel now, fitting for the fallen child. What's with this part about calling their name, though? Well, once again, we need to look at this from a meta perspective rather than an in-universe one. What do you do every time you start a brand new playthrough of Undertale? You name the fallen child. Every time you call their name, they appear. Chara now also refers to us as partner, showing that they no longer see us as a guide, but as an equal. Chara, however, is not in full agreement with what we are doing. They don't necessarily want everyone to get a happy ending, but they seem to view our continued resets as pointless and unreasonable. We gave them their soul, however, so they will continue to hold up their end of the bargain. Well, that is pretty much everything I've come to learn about Chara over the past 6 years. In summary, in universe Chara is awakened through Frisk. Their relationship represents the relationship between the player and the player character. When you do a Genocide run, however, Chara becomes so powerful that they break free from the actual player's control and completely overpower us. Once we sell them our soul, Chara won't allow us to get a happy ending, because they believe we should have to face the consequences of our actions. And that is the story of the fallen child. As you can probably tell, Chara is a character I have thought about a lot. Piecing together Chara's story has honestly been one of the most interesting experiences I've ever had in a video game, so I'm happy to share everything I've learned. By the way, if you enjoyed this video, I recommend checking out my Undertale playthrough called The Flowey Route. In it I play through Undertale's various timelines while going over lore and whatnot, like everything I just went over in this video. I don't plan on covering much Deltarune, however, until chapters 3 through 5 are out. I just prefer going over information we know for sure rather than speculating, so I want to wait until most of the game is out. That's all. Be seeing you soon.